The Fuentes Psyop is in full swing. We have Netanyahu and Nicholas Fuentes tweeting out the same time. Congratulations, President Trump, for your bold and historic leadership on behalf of freedom and justice. I salute your decisive resolve and the brilliant action of your brave soldiers. It's pedo Epstein regime top goy Ali Alexander protecting Nick Fuentes logic. It just simply falls flat, and that's why his own audience is now turning against him. Finally, people are just waking up to the fact that this guy's a total fraud. The Fuentes Psyop is running its course. Generational run over. Look at this. Nick tweeted out or posted on Telegram another boomer-coded line. Take the oil. The Western Hemisphere is ours. 4,635 downvotes, and that was just at the time that this had been screenshotted. I'm sure it's much more now. Groyper collapse, generational run is over. Here's more. Nick Fuentes, after the kidnapping of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, and after Trump's promise and Marco Rubio's promise that the U.S. would be running Venezuela and occupying Venezuela. No one shit the bed more than Nick Fuentes, right? The guy who, made his early days of his career talking about migrants before he ever talked about Israel or Zionists. He was talking about migrants, right? And now he's supporting an effective U.S. occupation, regime change, turning Venezuela into Libya slave market country, failed state. And what is that going to do? 8 million, I believe it was, 8 million, 4 to 8 million Venezuelans fled Venezuela after the harshest sanctions in the entire world were placed on the country, and they tried to starve the people. How many migrants do you think will be created and come flooding into the United States if, in fact, the United States decides to occupy Venezuela and civil war breaks out? Well, not civil war. I mean, it will be a direct conflict by U.S. occupying forces against the Venezuelan military, the Venezuelan People's Militia, the Venezuelan, these guerrilla groups in Colombia and Venezuelan jungles like the ELN and FARC-related groups. How many millions of migrants do you think will be created from that? Anyone want to take a guess? Anyways, it's really actually crazy to watch Nick Fuentes' development on this Venezuela issue, though, because initially, well, he's flip-flopped probably 5 or 10 times now. So September 24th of 2025, he was condemning Trump for pushing for regime change in Venezuela. Then the day that Nicolas Maduro was kidnapped, he said, USA, flag emoji, okay? And I responded to him. I said, only a retard would support an Israeli-sponsored regime change that will create millions of migrants. So Nick Fuentes now is in total agreement with Laura Loomer, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, Benjamin Netanyahu. Nick Fuentes is boomer maxing. He's the Fuentes Psyop is in full swing. We have Netanyahu and Nicholas Fuentes tweeting out the same time. Congratulations, President Trump, for your bold and historic leadership on behalf of freedom and justice. I salute your decisive resolve and the brilliant action of your brave soldiers. Okay? So there you go, Fuentes. And yes, we can watch this. This is Nick Fuentes' real opinion that he expounds upon in great detail about why he thinks we should go into Venezuela and occupy Venezuela.
A war that would be good for us is a war where we actually get stuff and would make us rich. Like a war that would make us rich is to go to war in Venezuela. And a lot of people are criticizing me. They're like, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. They have a lot of oil. We should fucking take it. We're the
boomer maxing. He's literally, it's John McCain, it's George Bush, it's Lindsey Graham.
Biggest country ever. We're the biggest and best country ever. They have all this oil and we're playing games. We're going to let this guy say, oh, you don't get our oil. Says fucking who? We will come in and we will kill all of you. Our military will come in and wipe out your regime and we will take your oil and enrich our country. If you went to war in Venezuela, we get all the oil and all the gas and it makes us rich. And we could honestly just steal it. We are in a great power competition with China.
We can just steal it. We can just do it because we're bigger. Okay, the British Empire tried that. That's the road you want to go down? What's the unifying bond here? The unifying bond is we're going to oppress these people. How long is that going to last? Okay, this pedophile logic does not work when you're trying to govern a country, a nation, let alone an empire. Okay? Just doesn't work. This pedophile logic of saying, like, we're stronger and we're going to rip away your God-given human potential. We're going to steal it from you. And we're going to punch you in the face and kill your people, rape your country. That doesn't work, okay? And honestly, I'm not surprised to see Nick have this pedophile logic, considering he went on like a catboy date with some teenage boy. I mean, I presume he was 18 years old. I have no idea of knowing whether or not he was 18 years old. They live streamed themselves, Catboy and Fuentes, going on a date together, getting hot dogs. Interesting choice of meal, phallic meal, going on a, dinner date with a Catboy. Also, who is that Indian guy that was like Nick's right-hand man? It was like some Indian guy that got wrapped up for sexting a bunch of minors, a bunch of little boys, and then Nick Fuentes was protecting him. What's that guy's name? Whenever you bring it up in front of Nick, he immediately stops the argument and flips the script and changes what he's talking about. Who's that Indian? Someone tell me his name. Someone tell me his name. We're not going to let anyone forget his name. And if you don't know this story, go look it up. Ali Alexander. Yes. Nick Fuentes protected that Ali Alexander kid. Man, not kid. That Indian Ali Alexander was his right-hand man who got caught sexting a bunch of minors and trying to force himself onto a bunch of minors. Groyper General Ali Alexander, Nick Fuentes has protected him for years. And now anytime someone brings that up, he's like, oh, that's just an old beef. That's an old beef. He immediately goes into like Ben Shapiro's Zioslop Hasbara deflection mode and tries to deflect about that. Ali Alexander. Do not forget about that name and the fact that Nick Fuentes was protecting that guy.
And in Russia, for the alignment of middle powers, for the alignment of resource-rich countries, and
I love this stupid logic he puts forward. Russia is in Ukraine because of resource-rich powers that they're trying to control. Russia's in Ukraine because NATO was slaughtering all of these Donbass civilians, and they were about to put nukes right on Russia's border, right? The Cold War never ended, Nick. Wake up. You think this is about like resources? Okay, maybe to a certain extent it's about resources, but it's just about, it's just as much about resources for NATO as they attempt to balkanize Russia and put Rothschild banks in each of the little mini balkanized states that they want to create and send in these multinational corporations into Russia, into all these balkanized states, and steal all their resources. Same thing.
And we're in a battle with Russia and China over supply chains and the resources that fuel the supply chains, specifically things like energy, rare earths, minerals, and then the shipping routes that transit those raw materials. Who cares if Venezuela is run by some corrupt, petty tyrant? Just take their shit. Get as many countries on our side of the ledger so that we can...
Pedophile logic. Boomer maxing, Ali Alexander pedophile logic from Nick Fuentes. This is a good question everyone should be asking. If China somehow was able to control, the vast majority of the world's shipping routes, become the number one trade partner, import-export trade partner with all these countries across the world, specifically in Latin America, and they did that with only having one foreign military base. They did that without firing a single missile, without deposing a single government. Why can't the U.S. do that? Why does the U.S. have to go in and just rape these countries? Why can't the U.S. do that? It's because the U.S. literally promises nothing but raping and pillaging. It is pedophile Epstein regime logic.
We can take their shit. I actually probably favor regime change in Venezuela. I actually think it would be beneficial if we had a pro-American regime in Venezuela. Probably would be good for us because of the resources they have.
So that's what he supports? He supports going in and deposing the anti-Zionist leader, but he wants to put in a U.S. regime. There's not even a U.S. regime in Venezuela right now. The U.S. would literally have to put boots on the ground to get that.
Also want to keep, in my opinion, South America on our side of the ledger. I think that it would be a good thing if America could take all their oil and natural gas. We need the energy. We want the energy. We're coming up on the end of the fracking boom. We want their oil and natural gas. They're not making enough of it because of the pressure on them. Strictly speaking, it would be better if there
do what China does. It's so simple. You don't need to do this.
Was an American-aligned government there that could
He just wants to go in and Catholic monarchist Nick Fuentes wants to go into Venezuela and bomb 80 Venezuelan Catholics. And then when we get Maduro, but we haven't taken control of the government, he says, no, we need to get the oil. We need U.S. boots on the ground. So you want to kill more Catholics? Is that a Christian thing to do? Is it Christian to go in and murder people, murder Catholics, steal their resources? Is that Christian?
Optimally and efficiently extract those resources and send them to the United States. It'd be better for our economy. It'd be better for our technology industry in the era where electricity and energy is a very important commodity for intelligence and for defense. That's a good thing, actually. I don't like these small-minded arguments where people say, anytime America uses its wealth and power, that's not America first. Well, what exactly is America first? Is the only thing that the military can do to patrol the border? And some people might say yes, but I would say no, we want to control our periphery. We want to control a sphere of influence. Is that not what every other country is doing? What is Russia doing? What is China doing?
China is doing it without firing a single bullet. You know, his arguments just fall flat because it's pedo Epstein regime, top goy, Ali Alexander protecting Nick Fuentes logic. It just simply falls flat. And that's why his own audience is now turning against him. Finally, people are just waking up to the fact that this guy's a total fraud. The Fuentes Psyop is running its course. Generational run over. Look at this. Nick tweeted out or posted on Telegram another boomer coded line. Take the oil. The Western Hemisphere is ours. 4,635 downvotes, and that was just at the time that this had been screenshotted. I'm sure it's much more now. Groyper collapse, generational run is over. Here's more. Times like these really show you how stark the differences are between a reactionary America First nationalist movement and these left-wing anti-American turd worldists. Bro, it's like Matt Walsh put his brain inside Nick Fuentes, or Ben Shapiro put his brain inside. You know, this is like the type of turd worldist. This is like when Pete Hegseth gave his speech after the kidnapping, and he's like, we saw Maduro fucking around, and he found out. And then Asmongold goes like, pause, based, poggers, bro, poggers. This shows that the America First is very different from the turd worldists. Boomer coded. There was a moment when there was some apparent overlap, but now you see what's really going on. Many of these people don't even live in America and are basically anti-colonialists, anti-Americans who do not want our country to succeed and actually want us to get in line. China can succeed without firing any bullets. Why can't we? Simple. I don't like that has taken control of America and use America to fight its wars, but that is because I like America and want America. It's just jibber jabber. It's just pedo Ali Alexander jibber jabber. Never forget what Nick Fuentes did in protecting Ali Alexander, by the way. So then Nick Fuentes flip-flopped again. He said, initially seemed like a solid operation to cleanly, bloodlessly, and quickly remove Maduro from power last night. But this new policy of running Venezuela with U.S. soldiers sounds like a massive overcommitment. I have zero confidence in nation building. Big mistake. Bro, what did you think was going to happen? You literally made video after video after video, live stream after live stream with, dozens and dozens and dozens of minutes worth of, hours of minutes worth of coverage on why you said this was a good idea and the U.S. should just take over Venezuela. Now he sees that the people of America oppose this. His own fans oppose this, and he's trying to change course. And then he flip-flopped again, so now he's back. Now that Venezuela has been liberated, we must send every single Venezuelan illegal refugee and criminal back home. Take the oil, re-migrate the foreigners. Nick, you're that stupid, aren't you? You're that stupid. So, Nick, did the Syrian migrants go back when from Europe? When they put in that Al-Qaeda guy in Syria? When Al-Qaeda took control of Syria, did all the Syrians go back home? No. Iraq is somewhat stabilized. I mean, did the Iraqi migrants go back to Iraq? Did the Afghan migrants go back to Afghanistan? Did the Libyan migrants go back to the parts of Libya that are somewhat stable? No, of course not. You have to be so stupid. So stupid. And it's not that he's young. He's older than me. Don't say he's young and just naive. He's stupid, or this is a massive psyop. You choose. I can tell you he's not some disgruntled Venezuelan exile because he's not Venezuelan. He's 25% Mexican. And I don't even know if Mexicans like Venezuelans. I don't know how the interethnic, spats go between Mexicans and Venezuelans. But he's 25% Mexican. He's not even one of these disgruntled Venezuelans. Okay? So he's getting trolled everywhere. Everyone is 1.7 thousand dislikes on this post talking about taking over all of the Central America and, parts of Brazil and Venezuela and stuff. Fell for it again award. Oh yeah, by the way, his whole idea of sending the migrants back to Venezuela, this is what Department of Homeland Security, Chrissy Noem, director, she had to say about Venezuelan migrants.
Well, Venezuela today is more free than it was yesterday, and it's going to continue to be that way as long as President Trump is in the White House and is making sure that he's protecting the interests of the American people, because that ripple effect will continue to bring that kind of liberty to Venezuela as well. These programs, we're bringing integrity back to them. The decisions are made in conjunction with the State Department, with the White House, and then we at Homeland Security implement them and make sure that they are followed through. So every individual that was under TPS has the opportunity to apply for refugee status, and that evaluation will go forward. But we need to make sure that our programs actually mean something and that we're following the law. And that's how that decision with TPS was made.
So they're going to grant refugee status to the Venezuelan migrants now. Top guy Nick Fuentes fell for it again award. Or did he make you fall for it again? That's really the question you need to be thinking about, because how compromise, really, let's just, brass knuckle, let's break it down. Nick Fuentes told everyone on January 6th in a bullhorn, he was speaking into a megaphone. On January 6th, he told everyone, go storm the Capitol, break down the barricades, disregard the police. Is that a person that the feds could compromise quite easily and say, make a deal or else? Nick Fuentes, who portrays himself as a straight man, but goes on these phallic dinner dates to go get hot dogs with a young cat boy and live streams it. Does that seem like a person that could be compromised quite easily? Nick Fuentes, who protects Ali Alexander, the legitimate pedo who was caught sexting a bunch of minors and trying to force himself and sexually abuse a bunch of minors. Does that seem like someone who's probably going to be, culpable of being, taken control of by the feds? I happen to believe so. And I happen to believe that it's not a coincidence that he's out here still doubling down on the insane notion that the U.S. should go in and occupy Venezuela, despite the fact that everyone thinks this is a bad idea. Everyone opposes it. No one wants this. The polls just came out. No one wants this. Even his own audience is turning against him. There's a reason why, and the longer you wait until you figure out why that this is actually happening, I guess the longer you are simply out of the know on the most basic logic that one could apply to this otherwise, inexplicable situation. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.